There's a place, a school, an institution where a professor resides. One that for the past 30 years has traveled the world teaching others. A pioneer in America of the fighting science of Savate. One who codified the sports of this fighting style. One who has produced clubs, champions, and continues to develop. Listen to words of Professor Buitron. Come train at the best-kept secret of Laredo. Buitron Academy, 956-401-4868, Savate.biz.
We're back at you on Monday, and we have a great question today, and it is, where does Danse de Rue Savate get its uniform? It's an interesting question, where and how it came about when the guild was reproduced and it was open, and that we had our first meetings in 1994. In 1994, during that meeting, and the reason behind the guild was because both my professor, Robert Paturel, and Paul Viviani had come to Dallas. And we were in Dallas, we were having a seminar, exams, week-long, what we call the Passage de Grade. And we had been doing it prior. We had probably about 4 or 5 years, probably 6 years in having these exams every June on an annual basis. Well, when they came in, they brought along a letter that was written by the then professor of the International Federation that said, Michel Roger, that said that you could not teach Savate as a self-defense or martial arts. Savate had to be taught as a sport. And many professors got insulted about it. Many of the professors in Savate kind of said, we won't get involved with you anymore. Both professors of Savate and Buitrón says we're very much trying to hold to the traditions that we're having there. Understanding now what the reasoning was, because remember, Buitrón says Savate is a sport, and the International Federation governs the sport. The French Federation of Savate governs the disciplines associated in the sport of Savate, which is Savate, Buitrón said, the French martial arts. So that took into play. We had the first votes of who was going to be the president, who was going to be the vice president, who was going to be the technical director, and so on and so forth. And the technical director was passed on to Jean-Paul Viviani. And vice president was my uncle Isidro Chapa, and president was, at that time, was Patapoy. And there were other professors there. It was Pierre Shine that was involved, Dominic Louis, Andre Germain, Mercadier, Pierre Shine, the one that was backing us up very much so back then was both Roger Lafont and also Sylvain Silvani. So we had a cluster of people coming together and putting ideas of what was going to be a universal uniform. Savate and Buitrón said had uniforms. Gan had his own uniform, and it had a competition uniform. Savate Buitrón says has the integral, the unitard, if you want to put it that way. And so everyone had its own uniform to separate it. We went back into traditions. We looked up some of the books. We looked up some of the stuff that was going on. And we kept finding out that a lot of the professors of Buitrón says in the 1800s were Suaves. And that's where the uniform comes from. Joseph Charlemont was a Suave. Louis Vigneron was a Suave. The Canyon Man was a Suave. There was Duke Gross back then was a Suave. So was Albert was a Suave. There was a lot of soldiers in that time frame that came back, and there were Suaves as well. They say Bell was the Suave. In the end, he was a great professor in the turn of the centuries. Between the 1890s and 1910, he had a tremendous club. A lot of those individuals, so a lot of the sayings of how we moved and how it was put together, especially Buitrón says with Joseph Charlemont, giving credits with that being due. He was a part of the SWAV unit. Now, let me explain what the SWAVs were. The SWAVs were a special force type light infantry army that developed in northern Africa by the French. The SWAVs were a tribe of Berbers that were Catholic in nature, Christian nature, that were ruled over by the Arab day, so the kings, of the rulers at that time frame in Algeria, and they were tremendous fighters. So they joined the French when the occupation came in, and they told them that they could have their own unit. So their dress, their uniform went in there, the baggy pants, the vest, the coat, the touquet, it came along with that. Okay. So we adopted that uniform. So it is a French uniform. A lot of people say, no, it's Chinese. No, it's from Thailand. No, it's not. It is a French uniform. And very rightly so, Savate Danse De Rue is a little bit different than Savate-biz says. Savate-biz says is the sport that we would fight in or compete in, as well as Can de Combat is our sport that we're going to be competing against. That's what people do not understand. Danse de Rue Savate is a martial art that has all the disciplines melded in through the ranking system. You start learning Lacan at green, the way you used to in the 70s and 80s. You don't do that now if you go in a Savate gym over there or a side. Most people don't know that Khan and Savate at one time were together. So it's we're trying to preserve that. Now we've been preserving that since '94, and we've taken it that route. Out of Savate, a lot of martial arts, French martial arts or methods developed. Savate defense came out of Danse de Rue Savate. Boxe de Rue came out of Danse de Rue Savate. Lutte de Rue, Can de Rue, all these other elements were influenced because of Danse de Rue Savate's presence. Okay, a lot of people were involved with Danse de Rue Savate and either couldn't make the rank, couldn't go up, move higher because of lack of training, or they didn't want to train, or what have you, and produce or other elements that are out there. But nonetheless, Danse de Rue Savate is a system. You can compare it kind of similar to Gaju Kembo. It is a system that incorporates all the disciplines that were associated with the French martial arts into one package. So the uniform, yes, the uniform is a French uniform. The uniform is that of the SWAV. There's a lot of traditions that go with it, how you wear it, who wears what. If the uniform has a red, on the vest has a red trim, that means you're an instructor level. If you wear the red pants, we've taken that from Savate traditions. Red pants means that you're a silver glove in Savate. That is very much true. My professor, Roger Lafon, used to use that until he passed on. And his club, the Silver Gloves, used to wear the red pants with black shorts. That is very well documented. Nonetheless, keep on training, keep on asking the questions. I'll have some pictures going on there about who the SWAVs were. Very interesting because those units of the SWAV by the 1840s, you have units in 1850s, you had units of SWAVs in Mexico, in Tonkin, in China, all across Africa, of course, Europe. In 1880s, 1890s, they were sent to Brazil. In fact, they even say some masters of capoeira even say that the SWAVs, they claimed they were Turks, but the SWAVs, actually French, were the ones that taught them parts of the way to fight, which is capoeira, and they were sent to Paraguay during the War of Paraguay. We had SWAVs too. In the Civil War, we've had SWAVs in the north and we had SWAVs in the south. It's an interesting history of these battalions that lasted from the 1830s all the way up to late 1950s, early 1960s, and then later on they became part of the French Foreign Legion. But nonetheless, it's a beautiful history. that's who we give credit to, and that's who we use as a martial element within Danse de Rue Savate is that uniform. It's not a fictional uniform. It's not one that is popped out of somebody's head. It was convened during a meeting. We placed it together, and it took us a while to get people to actually make the uniform for us. So now there is a company that does that. So yes, the uniform for Danse de Rue Savate is that of a SOAF. Okay, I'll leave you with that. I want you all to take this forward. Keep training. Always keep training. If you want to learn Savate, drop me a line at Buitron Academy 2012 at gmail.com. Or if you want to learn, we have a lot of material on YouTube, and we have a lot of material on Buy Me a Coffee at Buitron Academy. And there you can join. You can join the online courses that we're giving to many people that are out there. And hopefully we can get this year out of the way and have some good training coming up, because we had some great events being held, and we have new areas to go touch base with. I know that next year we're going to be going back to Brazil, and hopefully we can push a couple of clubs in Brazil. We're going to hit Japan as well. And we're also going to try to get some other clubs up and running throughout the States. Until then, be safe and continue asking those questions. Thank you.